It's my honor to launch the forum. May God help. Bless you.
President Yoweri Museveni in August 2021 inaugurated the Presidential CEO Forum with a call to the business community to adopt import substitution and export promotion if the country is to realize tangible economic progress.
The main message I would like to give you is please minimize and eliminate Okusaka, which means you go to import substitution and export promotion. There you can't go wrong, and the country cannot go wrong.
The Presidential CEO Forum is a direct and adequate link between the private sector leadership, CEOs from corporate institutions and government executives with the aim of contributing to national development.
First of all, the Presidential CEO Forum is a private sector-led initiative that was initiated by the head of state so that it can work directly with government or close with government so as to fast-track the national development agenda. Then secondly, as Presidential CEO Forum, we do seek to identify the bottlenecks to economic growth and to work with government to systematically address these problems. And then thirdly, as Presidential CEO Forum, we intend to partner once again with government so as to see how best we can support to attain the Vision 2040 through effective implementation of the National Development Plan.
The forum, founded in 2020, is a presidential initiative registered under the Companies Act purposely to support development work, harness and popularize private sector involvement in existing local and international initiatives.
The very reason why Presidential CEO Forum was initiated is because of the different gaps that had been notified or identified. And so there are key 5 gaps which have been identified and presented to government. So the first is cost of capital. We all know what it means for the private sector when they do not have capital to inject into their businesses. There is no growth. Secondly is cost of electricity. The cost of electricity is not favorable at all, and this government has really tried to address it. Then the transport cost. If we are moving goods from one place to another, what kind of transport is there for us as private sector to use? Then the skilled human resource. This is very, very fundamental. How best are we planning to address this issue? And then access to markets. As we all know, if we are pushing for value addition, if we are pushing for mass production, then where are we going to sell this produce?
Congratulate you members for starting this forum, which is meant to facilitate regular timely discussions between CEOs and leaders of business in this country with the government to ensure that any challenges you face are promptly addressed. Your Excellency, I would like to thank the CEOs of these companies, first of all, for paying taxes. We are aware that has enabled to deliver services to the people of Uganda, and we are very grateful. I want to thank you, the CEOs, for employing Ugandans. These Ugandans, mostly the youth, a product of a progressive Ugandan policy of free primary education and secondary education, and of course tertiary. I would like to encourage you to take advantage of the conducive environment that is created by government to do business in this country.
The forum provides a manifesto for CEOs to cooperate directly with government in promoting sound strategies for industrialization, leadership and governance, hence enhancing competitiveness through policy encouragement.
The government has provided a framework for the private sector to work together with it to achieve national development. We run a system which is private sector-led development. Now, that means public-private partnership is critical for the government to achieve its intended national development priorities. So, first of all, the private sector can support skills development because a country is only as good as the quality of its people. Therefore, the private sector should provide avenues for people to do apprenticeship, young graduates to do internship, and generally to facilitate the process of skills development in the country. In addition, The government has also defined priority sectors within the National Development Plan theory, but also more broadly within the National Vision 2040. So the private sector should support the government initiative by investing in those priority sectors, sectors like manufacturing, so that we can move away, for instance, from subsistence agriculture into agro-processing.
During the inauguration, President Museveni appreciated the value in having business forums like PCF, which he said help the government in policy formulation. He directed that government departments such as the Prime Minister's Office and the Ministry of Finance always consult them before formulating policies.
This forum is good because it brings out what you need and what the reformers in the government need, the ones who are involved in the war, in the economy. They are here, they are organized, let's consult them, let's work with them.
He said the government will in turn facilitate the business community with the necessary infrastructure such as roads, cheap electricity, railway line, and reduce the cost of money through Uganda Development Bank to lower the cost of doing business in the country. He said that schools and technical colleges should also step in to provide the necessary skills that are needed to do business.
Science is the base of modernization, and I'm glad that you have scientists among you here, because I don't want the manufacturers just to remain at a low technology level.
The Presidential CEO Forum Board draws on a breadth of experiences and backgrounds and a mix of both institutional and individual abilities to champion the framing of private sector conversations through the lenses of government's agenda. The board has already expressed its belief in the need for private sector initiatives to mirror government policy rather than be guided by profit alone.
PCF Board Chairperson Barbara Mulwana stated that the PCF will deliver on its vision through three key initiatives that include fostering the social economic transformation agenda in all policy conversations that are to administer private sector participation, develop a well-profiled and vetted data bank of Ugandan CEOs, and complement government with practical interventions on economic recovery, entrepreneurship growth, and value addition that will enhance home-engineered industrialization.
It's our aspiration that this forum, which has been founded on strictly non-secretarial principles, shall provide the provisional missing link between the public and private sector at both the decision-making and implementation levels. PCF is a vehicle to address a key anomaly in that whereas private sector is the biggest employer in Uganda's economy with the highest contribution to GDP, it is still kept at the periphery where it comes to enactment and implementation of policies that affect private sector operation. The establishment of this forum, therefore, timely since PCF is envisioning to play a pivotal role in identifying pressing challenges to development and addressing the bottlenecks that have hindered an effective public-private working partnership.
The first private sector CEOs retreat took place at the National Leadership Institute in Ichankwanzi from the 3rd to the 5th of December 2021, guided by the theme, Enhancing Collaboration Between Business and Government Leaders to Attain Social and Economic Transformation.
We are here to identify pressing problems which slow down private sector development and conducting research and make scientific arguments.
In the context of Uganda's vision, that is socio-economic transformation, NALI has a mandate. Our mandate is to realign our understanding and knowledge in order to churn out leaders who espouse objective leadership ideology and philosophy that borders on the understanding that men and women of Uganda are the levers and primers of Uganda's socio-economic transformation. Leaders who see Uganda's social, cultural, and ethnic diversities as an advantage. The patchwork mosaic created by such diversities is what makes Uganda a country with unparalleled beauty and heritage. leaders who see themselves existing for the society's good, who put their people above self. Transformational leaders, dialectically minded and not floating on fantasy and dreams. Your Excellency, these are reflected in the modules we teach. The coming of the CEOs to Nali reminds us of our continuous struggle to liberate our people from economic dependence.
President Museveni was the guest speaker at the meeting hosted by the Presidential CEO Forum.
The issue of the market. That's why NRM has been struggling for the restoration of the East African community. We are the ones who struggled with Mzee Moi and Mkapa and Al-Hassan Mwinyi to bring back the East African community, which had collapsed. Because we knew if you produce, where do you sell? If you don't sell, how would the production go? So the NRM has been on the forefront for the unification of East Africa, for the unification of COMESA, for the unification of the African continental free trade area. But also, we have negotiated with the others, the Americans for AGOA, the European Union for EBA, and so on. Now, all these we do in order to create atmosphere for the private sector to come in and produce goods and services which we need so that we don't have to import, but also goods and services which you can export and get foreign currency, but also create jobs for our people, but also expand the tax base so that we have a richer government. So I want you to wake up and understand this potential which is just there. So this economy can jump from below where it is now, below 100 billion, to almost half a trillion in a very short time.
The retreat was organized with the purpose of stimulating CEOs' participation, focusing on promoting, harnessing and popularizing private sector involvement for appropriate legislation, practices and policies that eliminate bottlenecks to economic development.
The role of government is going to be as follows. We want to support government fully to provide the political stability and security, as well as favorable macroeconomic environment. That's the first fundamental, the security. Second, we want to introduce and enforce policies and regulations, as well as incentives that promote the private investment. We are going to also invest directly or jointly with the private sector in some strategic areas. We are going also to continue lending at preferential interest rates to private sector investments in key sectors, especially via UDB, and also provide tax benefits to key private sector players in selected sectors so that they can be competitive, and promote the local content policy beyond just words in ensuring that the contracts that government is signing every year, these trillions of shillings, we have at least 40% remaining in the country. We also want to improve the funding of marketing of Ugandan goods and brand. So we are supporting fully now those who are in the area of export promotion and also in our tourism. We want to improve on resource mobilization to finance all of these plans. We want to promote a development-oriented mindset also as government. We want also to re-engineer our public service to be pro-business, to take decisions quickly, to reduce bureaucracy, to reduce corruption. That's why we are now investing in systems. We want also to enhance partnerships with the non-state actors, including you, development partners, and others. But most importantly, we want to remove, or at least to reduce dramatically, market distortions. There are a number of distortions also which are affecting us. I will give you an example. In the banking sector, there is a lot of protection of the lenders, but who protects the customers?
As government, we do our role. We also hope private sector could be able to do certain things. The first one, kindly pay your taxes. Don't hide books of accounts. Also, you are the principal creators of jobs and employment. How do we ensure that we create enough jobs, but not only enough jobs, but good jobs, and also deliver the critical goods and services to the public at affordable prices? 38% of our NDP3 also is going to be funded by the private sector. And you know that plan has a total cost of 342 trillion shillings. Of these, 128 trillion is going to come from private sector. And you are already doing that job. But how do we scale it up? And please, just to know, we are a listening government. Come and we have a conversation with the private sector on issues that affect private sector.
CEOs contributed to the discussions on issues including policy legislation, access to regional markets, commercialization of agriculture, ICT and innovation, and infrastructure development.
I like this forum. It's new, and for us who are in academia, we want to understand new things. Objectives of this forum, the ones of competitiveness, industrialization, commercialization, ICT, innovation, and infrastructure. I would want to see this forum also have an objective of growing chief executives. How do you nurture chief executives? So please, if you don't mind, let it be part of the agenda.
I'm very delighted, Mr. Chairman, that the PCF, along with other members like the Chamber of Commerce and all the other business associations, have started to coalesce together to come and be a part of a policy and advocacy role that will help to usher us into the private sector we want to be. When you see key captains of the public sector sitting down with key captains of business and industry, deliberating issues, economics, you know our economy will never be stupid. Let this be the beginning of a conversation that defines an intersection between the public sector and the private sector, and that point will be the center, the fulcrum that can define a conversation for a great future for our businesses and our country.
The captured recommendations were compiled into a report that will be presented to His Excellency and ministers for action.
I want to thank His Excellency that he gave us an opportunity to converge in Chankwanzi and have a discussion for businesses to be able to see how do we transform this country, how do we contribute to social and economic transformation. And I want to say it provided a very good opportunity to a number of CEOs that were there to interact among each other, but also to discuss and engage with the President. And we raised a number of issues which was actually able to address, and some of them he agreed to take them forward. But importantly, we also had a number of CEOs from government agencies who actually pledged to work closely with the private sector. And we have seen a number of fruits coming out from these agencies that we are able to interact with. We are just starting, it's a journey. Once we work together and we are able to share and be able to trust each other and be able to agree on the course of action, we'll be able to take this country forward.